Welcome back to season 2 of Powered by Her. I'm Tiffany Anton with the Biz Foundry, and as you can tell, season 2 is going to look a little different. We got a video component, so you can check us out on YouTube, like and subscribe, and I think the kids say hit the bell if that's a thing. I'm old, so I don't really know, but welcome back. We hope that you'll be along for the journey of season 2 and see what changes are about to come about. So. Our first guest of season 2, I'm super excited. You've been to women's lunches of ours, and so Emily Blackmon, owner of Roots Salon here in Cookeville. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
So tell me what Roots Salon is in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, I really feel like Roots is an experience. When I think about what we've created, it's a kind of a front. We do hair, but what we're really doing is connecting people through pain, happiness, relation, and we also make you look really beautiful. So I have a really great team of about 13 employees that we really try to focus on what can we do to make somebody's day better, and then also give them hair tips and give them visions of what they want to look like in the mirror at the same time. So it's just a place of healing, I call it, honestly.
I think it definitely is different than your regular salon.
Yes.
I think when you opened, how long ago now?
3 years.
3 years ago, and I remember when you opened, it was like, what is this place? Like, it's kind of cool, like it's a women's night out kind of place.
Yeah.
But is the area ready for something like this? Right. And you and I have talked about this before, but what made you decide to do this here? So you're not from here?
No, I'm originally from Florida, like Central Florida, Volusia County by Daytona Beach. And I was living there, and my husband's from the Upper Cumberland, like Albany, Kentucky area. So we met in Florida. He's an artist. He was just living down there at the time, and we became really good friends, and I fell in love with him with resistance, with a lot of resistance.
Because of the Upper Cumberland area?
No, just because I just was in a chapter where I was like, no, you know. And he has the state of Kentucky tattooed on his forearm, and there's a little cross where Dale Hollow is. And he said, this is where I'm going to end. This is where my landing spot is. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, you know. So we moved to Atlanta, lived there for 5 years. And then I started.
He phased you into
He phased, no, totally. So I kind of got off track. I lived in Atlanta a little bit. And then I got an opportunity in New York City to work on sets. So he was like, I'm not going to New York. I'll be here and you can go up to New York. So we spent 8 months apart. And I was like, oh, I'm getting him to New York. Like in my mind, I was like, so I pull up at the airport. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you where we're staying in Brooklyn. And he was like, no. So that trip, my boys came into our life. And so coming back down to Atlanta, I realized I was pregnant. And he was like, all right, well, let's go, you know, let's go up to Kentucky. We had friends that lived in Burkesville. And we started really going up there a lot. And I was like, you know, I think I want to raise my kids in a little bit more of a community base. So
that mom thing hits. And
oh,
like,
yeah.
It just kind of changes what you think is important.
1,000%. So we lived up there, and then we lived in Albany, and then so I was still driving every 4 weeks down to Atlanta and doing my clients' hair and coming back. So I did that for a year, and then finally I was like, I don't want to do this, and I didn't know where to work because I'm just a very different breed, and I was like, I don't know what to do here. And so we were in Cookeville, we were eating at a restaurant, and I just looked around, I was like, I think I want to do this here. I was like, I saw college kids, I saw young families, I saw older people, I saw just like all different types of humans, and I was like, okay. So my husband helped open Willow Tree, which was attached to Roots in the beginning.
So that was like a boutique.
It was a boutique thing, yeah.
Furniture. I'm sorry.
It was furniture, yeah.
Start off with, yeah.
So me and my husband had the idea of Willow Tree and Roots Salon long time ago. Roots was in my dream book. Like, I don't know what it was going to be, but the name Roots was, I journal. And
How old do you think you were when you came up with the name Roots?
I was probably 24.
Okay.
And my husband's an artist, so Antwood. It was like he has like an Antwood workshop, which is his design. So we were gonna do like Willow Tree wood furniture and Roots Salon and do this whole experience. And then we met Tiffany, who he knew growing up, and she kind of had like a desire to do something. So we're like, let's just all tag team this together and see if, you know, support wise we can do that. So I just, you know, took the money that we had from the year of me traveling back from Atlanta back and forth and just invested it into baby Roots, and she grew.
She grew. I
She
mean,
grew.
yeah. So you rented a space that was a smaller space. I don't know how.
Like 1,200. I don't know, 1,200 square feet.
I'm
I'm not
so
good
bad.
at.
Like,
No, I'm awful.
I'm like, I don't know. It's like my kitchen size.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know,
Good,
you know?
good analogy. It was small,
Yeah.
and I thought it was too big. And I was like, Justin, this is ridiculous. Like, I only want 2 girls. I want 3 girls. Like, this is too much. And he was like, Emily, just like chill out. It started. I went to Mr. Wayne's, and I
Which
did
is a
hair school here. And I
So
emailed him.
you were already doing hair before all this, right?
Oh yeah, I've been doing hair probably 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I always helped my bosses. I was always kind of their right hand of like emotional need, and then I was always on the side of my coworkers of being their emotional need. So then it was like I would go to my boss with the passiveness of what they couldn't tell him, and I would go to them with the aggressionless of what he wanted to tell them. So I always kind of had that natural ability to
lead and to
Yeah.
support people. Do you
Yeah.
have any background in like psychology or
no.
any like? But were you the friend that everybody just kind of like
Yeah.
growing up that people would talk to and kind of?
I don't judge.
Yeah.
I can sit on any corner with any human with any background and relate, guide, and let them know that they're worthy of being heard because we all have that right. So
Growing up, do you think that did you always see yourself doing hair? Was
No.
that kind of what was 10-year-old Emily like? What were you gonna?
background dancer at festivals, or like on stage. I'm a dancer. I'm a performer. My aunt's a writer. I just grew up with art and creativity. So, and I never in dance. I never could remember choreography. So they always, because I'm a freestyler. So like they would always put me in the back of it. So because they knew that if I heard one thing that I wanted to do, they're like, oh God, here she goes. So I was always that thing that they had to kind of contain, but I also brought a lot to the team.
Did you give yourself that respect or that honor
No.
that you were a leader of some sort, of even just being the ear to listen to? Do you think you felt like a leader back? I mean, having the goal of being a backup dancer doesn't really seem like you own that leadership quality.
Yeah, no, I think honestly this last year, like we were talking about earlier, is I'm really actually making my eyes go to the mirror and look at what I am, because I suffer from not giving myself enough security to know that I am worthy as well. So I think I'm just realizing what I am like now.
Do you think that's, I feel like that's a really big women quality that we really suffer from a lot is giving ourselves the respect and standing tall and owning. Earlier today when somebody said, oh, what do? You said, I do hair.
Yeah.
And I promptly corrected you and said, you own Root Salon.
Yeah.
Are you still kind of adjusting to that entrepreneurship hat of wearing?
No, that comes very naturally. I think it comes to, I never want people to think that I'm above or I'm unreachable. So I always say I guide in a straight line, not like this with my people, because I feel like doing this, it takes away the ability for me to be that close to them. And so and me and my husband talk about this a lot, because the way I run my business, a lot of people are like, oh no, like girl, like this is, you're not gonna.
What do you think it is about your business that people want to like kind of go cover their eyes about? What is a struggle for other people?
I give a lot of chances. My biggest goal is I want to see someone in their falls rise and continue to stand in the same group of people. So, and everyone has their issues. Like I have single moms. I have girls that have been married for, 12 years, and I have girls that are just been married. So sometimes when they walk in that door, they're not in the best place, and we're with each other more than we are with our spouses. So we get some of that. So if every time somebody was in a bad place or had a bad experience with a guest because they're not in a good mindset or unleashing emotion onto me or the space or vice versa because of that, I want to be pliable to say, hey, I know you're in this place, but I don't want to be like, okay, you're done, you're fired.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of really, within healthy boundaries of not being advantage of how kind and open I am to, I think, of forever growth. I always say, like, Roots is a place, there's this whole term of like where hairdressers go to die. Like that, I've worked at them. It's like, oh, that's where you go to die. Because there's no internal growth, external growth. You're going to only make so much money because they're going to take more than half of it. You're not going to ever have time off. So for me, it's like I give my girls the most I can financially. They get every other Saturday off. We close a good chunk for holidays. And there's a sliding scale. So the more that they bring in their clientele, the more they're going to get paid.
How'd you learn those skills as an entrepreneur? You know, you went to school for hair.
Yeah.
Right? How did you teach yourself, or did you go through things to learn how to run a business?
Survival. This is all, I think, and having a good spiritual guide of always leading with unegotistical mindset.
Kind of putting your pride on the
Oh,
side.
it's always on the side.
Yeah.
Which I need to let it have. I need to wear it a little bit because I deserve that. But
Right.
like if I look at something or if I read something and I feel it, I'm like, ew, that feels nasty. I don't do it. Or like I look at a stylist, I'm like, oh girl, that girl's been like killing it. You know, my mind could go, oh, I'm gonna make an extra 20% off, or I could be like, oh my God, I can give her an extra 15% because she's killing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, every month I have this thing where it's like, if they bring in new guests, they're gonna get an incentive of their hard work. You know what I mean? It's I
don't know the hairstyle
Yeah.
industry, but that's different. That's
Very different.
unique, right?
very different. I've been told, I'm telling you, like so many times, or people are like, y'all, like this isn't gonna be able to last. Like financially, you're not gonna be able to do this. And all we've seen is growth. But I truly don't allow darkness or I don't want to say darkness, but because it's not dark, I call it darkness. When that thing of like overtaking power for my own success, when I know I can give it back out to my community, I always choose giving it back out because when I go to bed at night, it's like,
Yeah.
and I choose that piece.
So I've done some fundraisers for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And I have actually said our motto has been don't be greedy.
Yeah.
And we've made more in fundraisers when we have that motto of don't be greedy, of just like, okay, we're trying to put on a great thing for a fundraiser for a nonprofit, and it ends up coming out
Every
better.
time.
And so it is interesting, but it's scary. I mean, it's scary to put that aside and think, okay, well, if I invest into these girls, what if they burn me?
Yep. And
So I'm guessing that there's been, just by your reaction, for those who aren't watching on video,
Yeah.
so tell me about some. I mean,
well, it's funny you say that. One of your questions that was on the thing, I was telling you earlier, like I was reading in bed and like it was like 18,000 emotions. I always say you're gonna get burned, you're gonna get hurt, you gotta let that wound heal, and you either choose, do I want to heal this wound with that person and walk through another chapter, or do we need to separate?
so how do you give some advice? How do you make that distinguish? Because as women, period, nothing. I have that issue a lot. How do I heal with this person, or do I heal alone and walk on alone?
That's a really hard one for me because I'm also such a I will say a recovering people pleaser. It is so like.
My name's Emily, and I like to be.
Yeah. Oh, we were last night. Me and my boys were putting on these like weird glasses, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Miss Overthinker, and I'm stressed out." Like, because that's just how I am as a person. I basically, I always am like, I really want to work this out. So I basically go to them with the straight on conversation. And if we can both agree that we are going to work really hard to do a chapter change and let those behaviors be past and not think of future expectations of what we need to get to, but presently every day look at each other and say, hey, how are you? And be gentle and be kind. And because we're all struggling. So sometimes that lick of a tongue or that hurtful comment or that undermining action is truly not who you are. It's the mentality of the stress or the fear of life, and you're using that energy as projection. So it's not really towards me. It's what they're feeling, and I unfortunately get it sometimes.
Yeah.
But if someone no-shows a client or like is acting recklessly where I can't control it, that's when we have to separate. But I'm really grateful. I've, over the 3 years, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 people that have decided, both of us decided that maybe Roots isn't the best chapter, but if they walked in the store, we would hug and just embrace, and there would be nothing but love, because that's what we both deserve.
Probably tear up too.
Oh my gosh, I like wrap my whole body around them. Oh yeah, I'm holding it together right now because I want to really embrace what this is and not let my emotion take over, but I'm one of the most over emotional humans.
But I think
ever.
it's important, especially sometimes as women, we feel like that's a sign of weakness.
Oh.
I will tear up, and then I get mad that I'm tearing up, and then I get like, especially in times where maybe there's conflict or something, and it's like, okay, you have to deal with a tough situation, and then I get mad, and I'm like, oh, now I'm mad, I'm crying, and it's a snowball effect.
Every emotion's a healthy emotion. It's how you release it. So even anger, anger or sadness, those are really awesome superpowers that we can actually break through barriers of our own crippling situations if we can execute it with healthy tools. I always say this, if there's a woman, and I think a lot of Roots is built off of good hair, but also full circle. So let's just say you come in and you get your color done and you're not 100%. So you decide, and it's so crazy how so many women are so nervous to say they don't like it. So if they call and they're like, hey, I'm just not feeling it, there's just something wrong. They come in and their first is I'm sorry. I'm like, look at me. This is your service. I'm here to provide it. And then I always say, this is a non-emotional conversation.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it is? I'm like, yeah. So they can tell this is crap. I don't know what is this? And I'm just going, yeah, I don't, and so you're allowed to feel every emotion without thinking I'm going to get emotional about what you're feeling.
And without apologizing for your emotions.
100%.
So I actually have a plugin on my email that anytime I type I'm sorry, it underlines it like it's spelled wrong so that I can rephrase it in a way do I really want to say I'm sorry for this? Is this something that I really should be sorry for? Because it's not my fault,
I like that.
I apologize today that it snowed. It's not my fault it snowed,
Oh, yeah.
but that's just what we do.
Women do that a lot.
Yeah.
Or whenever I was talking about this with someone, and I'm breaking this habit where it's you're having an interaction with someone, and then you leave, and then you have anxiety, and then you do a loop around, and you're like, hey. So it's and then I undo everything that I demanded. Yeah. I and you know what I mean? It's but you know what? Hey, it's okay. You did great. You just keep doing the same behavior. We're fine.
Yes.
I'm like, why did I just do that?
Well, and especially when you're in that leadership position, you kind of have to make sure that you can have a backbone of some point and say, it's okay to say, this is how things are going to run in my salon. And saying my salon is not a bad thing. That's okay to say, and that's okay. You're breathing it in as I say that.
I feel like for me, I journal a lot, and I talk about how the fear of the pause button is so real for me, because if I pause and I say, I own a salon, I have employees, I direct humans, that everything around me will deflate and you know what I mean? So
the reality will set in and it's not going to be real.
But it is.
Yeah.
Because I've survived my chapters, and then this is a little bit of the golden plate that I deserve. Yeah. So every time I am breathing that in because I'm I have to.
Well, I think so. Let's go back a bit to your kind of dreams and aspirations. Yeah. You had. I think it's very different to be. Your goals were to be a backup dancer, traveling around on stage with people. Yeah. And to be in Cookeville, Tennessee, running a salon. I see that there's similarities, but I see that there's differences as well. Yeah. How do you think that you kind of come to terms with where you thought you would be or where you're...
Mm-hmm. It was a wrestle. I would come home and just be crying to my husband. I'm I want to be in New York. I want to be, on tour with Justin Timberlake. I want to be and he's and he's been very patient with me of helping me figure out what all that looks like in a healthy manner. But what I do every day is I am performing, and people are coming to see me and Roots and the platforms of my girls. So I think I've healed in knowing that I still am on stage. Yeah. And I had to give. I think sometimes it's
I think it's the shift. It seems like it would be the shift from the backup to the limelight, though. And so that seems like that would have been a process to go through because you didn't have the dream to be Justin Timberlake. You had the dream to be Justin Timberlake's backup dancer. And so to be
because I don't have a voice. So I always say I have Beyonce in my heart, and I just need a team. I just need someone to teach me how to sing.
Yes.
And I like totally have it.
Well, one of the greatest things about the I think we came in the day that you put the disco ball
yes,
on, and the girl brought my daughters in there, and you were like, you turned the music up, turned the lights off, and just the disco ball, and we had a dance party in there. How often do people have a dance party?
All the time.
Well, in other places.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's probably not what you expect, that you're going to like have a dance party.
Yeah.
Are they usually under the age of 10 when people have dance parties, or like
no, it's all the time. Even if I have a client and they keep giving themselves a hard time, I literally am like, cut the crap. I turn the lights down and I make them get up, or like do a little groove in their seat, or like if I have a client that I know kind of needs a little something, I know I'm like, okay, so they like disco, or they like Elton John, or they like Elvis, and so I cue that before they walk in, so they're like, oh my god, like, and they don't even know it's for them.
Yeah.
But that's how much or like even like Stevie's client, like if Stevie has a girl that is a little girl that's her first time coming in, is terrified and having her first hair experience, I'm like, all right, let's put Baby Shark on.
Yeah.
And so they're walking in like, Baby Shark's in the building? Look, what's going on? Like, I want people to walk into Roots and be like, what is going on?
Well,
because everything else is so predictable in life. Roots is the most unpredictable thing, but also like the most healthy thing, I hope.
Yeah. Something that you can count on.
Yeah.
And I do think you really are putting out the empowered women. Mm-hmm. Your hair speaks so much volume it's one of the first things people see about you.
Yeah.
And, you have this kind of all different types of women in there, like you said.
Yes.
And so I think it's a really great atmosphere for women to come and kind of get recharged.
Yes. I also think too, it's like, so women always say it's like so funny, like they sit in the chair, right? And then they adjust their body and they're just like, and then they start saying how their face is round. I'm like, everybody's face is round. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, I don't know, like my eyes are just real. I'm like, everybody has that. Like we all have it. So then they're like, okay, so I'm not just the only person with a round face in the world. I'm like, no. And everybody's hairline creates something different with hormone change. Yeah. But all of my girls around me, like everyone that I work with stylist wise, are such powerhouses. And I started with like 2 or 3 girls right out of hair school. And then I had 2 senior stylists from different places in Cookeville reach out and be like, hey, like, I see what you're doing, girl. Like, I really like to be a part of this. So then they came, and then it just really like became such a unit of like powerful women. Like we always say, queens fix each other's crowns. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do all day long. And even like people like make comments how we always step on each other's mats, because like in reality of a lot of salon worlds, like your mat is like territorial. So like someone comes up to my mat, another hairdresser, I'm like, what are you doing? And now it's like, girl, I love that. Like, and so other people are like, the fact that y'all come in each other's workspace and are like, what's that formula? Hey, how did you do that? What product is that? That looks amazing. There's no competition. The only competition I have is here. Yeah.
Within yourself.
Within myself. It's always been that way.
Which is so much of women. Mm-hmm. I think women kind of beat themselves. They're their own worst enemy most of the time.
I would say all the time.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we really are, but I think we were taught that, unfortunately, and I think the de-wiring of that is generational. And I have conversations with my mom all the time. My mom is a servant of her people, like worked for Girl Scout for 30 years, was a troop leader, ended up the vice president of her council of Central Florida.
Girl Scout girl?
Yeah, girl.
Stole the cookies?
Yeah. Yeah. And my mom always like made me, when I was in high school, always Thin Mints. I was more of
I'm a girl, a tag-along girl myself.
Tag-along? Yeah, not ADD. I'm like, let's talk about cookies. But my mom always made me like, when I was in high school she would always be like, there was, alternative schools for girls that would, in public school, if they were having issues and they put them in there, I would go teach dance. She'd be like, hey, like there's a school and what I want you to do for your project is I want you to go teach them dance. And all the girls would always almost not want me to be there and kind of like be like, get away from me.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I'm not leaving. That's my mentality, is like, if you're trying to push me away out of your own hurt, I'm going to sit on your lap.
Well, but to like know that it's their own hurt and know that it's not something that you've done. I'm a personal. I take everything personally. I think it's everything's always my fault. I'm always like, what did I do for this? Why does this person want to push me away? But that's really, I mean, as a high school kid too, like that's pretty mature for you to know. Okay, you have hurt going on.
Yeah.
Were you? I mean, did you grow up where you just were really in touch? Your family was really in touch with feelings and.
Oh yeah, yeah. Healthy and very unhealthy. I very, very amazing family. As much as like every dynamic of family has their issues, but what I was told is you can, you will, and you're worthy. And becoming a parent, I realized a lot of the things my parents went through had nothing to do with me. I just got the trickle effects of their stuff. But I struggled. I mean, I really struggled. 7th grade was really hard for me. Every time I see a 7th grader, my whole body just goes, oh no. Oh,
I'm not sure that one year like stands out enough for me that.
Oh yeah, 7th grade was bad. But it was more of a. I don't. And you say that mature. You know, when you said I was mature, I really wasn't. I'm telling you, I'm a fake it till you make it.
Yes.
So I don't even know what I was doing. I really lead by this, which gets me in a lot of trouble. But also, I think makes me so fearless that I'm able to break through things that most people would not even think could be reality. Like, for instance, like I'm at a bar and I see a guy in the corner sitting by himself. I'm going to that guy in the corner. My sister's like, get over here. Like, he's gonna, and I'm like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
And it turns in that he needed that so much because he's been waiting for someone to approach him to ask how he's doing for months.
Right.
And my ability to pull me from that. So I kind of have to get in touch with control with that because I can get so energized by touching so many people on that level where I get depleted. So the woods, camping, outdoors, my husband, my children are like the ones that re-energize me because I'm always like out with everybody.
What advice would you have for somebody that's wanting to start a business, that loves something, whatever that something is, not necessarily hair, but but just wanting to start a business that would help them be successful?
And this is really funny, I'm going to say this because this is kind of one of my weaknesses, but I think it's a good thing. So if you like state what you want to do, turn down the volume when someone gives your opinion after.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I like, if you have like anything, like even the disco ball, like I remember like telling my husband, like, hey, I want a disco ball in there. He's like, I don't know, Emily, like that. And I literally, right when he started, I was like, I'm not, or whatever that is. And sometimes I do get burned. I'm like, shoot, I should have turned the volume up. But I really think quieting the noise around you, when you know something in your heart is pure and is coming from brightness and passion, just turn the background noise and focus on that.
Yeah.
Because it's for a reason, and you might get derailed and it might not be exactly what it is, but don't let others derail you from what you're feeling.
Well, yeah, I think that background noise can stop. I mean, it can stop you in your tracks.
Oh yeah,
and it can make you not even take the leap to do what you.
And it's not even intentionally, because if people are more worrisome people, like if they're like, well, I don't know, like what would you do?
And they think they're offering help.
It's not intentional. That's what I'm saying. So you can't get aggressively upset about someone telling you like, well, what are you going to do if that doesn't work?
Right.
I don't think of that. I don't think about any of that. I think about, okay, so how am I going to get those 3 things done so I can see that effect happen? And then in 3 weeks, if I see, you know, everything going into, you know, shambles because of it, then I'll be like, oh, it didn't work.
Well, and I'm the kind of person that like, well, I'll figure it out then.
Yeah.
I don't know, like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit my life stressing out that it's not going to work. Like that doesn't. I'm an Enneagram number 8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just do it, and then we'll figure it out when we need to figure out the next step. But I'm not doing anything if I'm just sitting around worrying. I
don't have doors. It's like that's why I tell my my friends too. Like I don't think about like opening the next door. They're all it's just a long hallway.
Yeah.
It's just a long hallway because
When you said that, I actually thought of a field. Like,
Yeah.
an open field.
That's
And
exactly.
like, maybe I'll go over there today, and then maybe I'll go over here.
mosey around.
Yeah, like
Yep.
I'll just figure it out. And if this field isn't getting what I need it to do, I'm gonna go over to the next
100%.
field.
Or if I don't like the flowers in this part of the field, I'm gonna go and see if maybe there's something over there that I like, and I might hang out there for a couple days, and then I'll get another idea off of that. But when you think of it's like, well, what are you gonna do with that? And then if that doesn't work, what do you expect? It's like, I don't even think like that. So I think really
the what ifs
turn
can
that-
kill definitely a business.
Yeah.
They can kill. They're definitely the killer of good ideas. And so
Yeah.
those what ifs. I like that advice. Turn down the noise.
Turn it all down.
Sometimes it stresses me out when I hear a bunch of people telling one person. You know, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so I hear everybody putting their input into somebody, and I'm like, you're overwhelming me. It's
It's a daily thing. I mean, yeah. But I see it as love.
Yeah.
So like even like I'll have guests be like, you know what you need to do, or you know what you should do. I actually had a client put a coat rack in my salon, and I love her to death. She's like, I mean, I have so many things going on, and I should have a coat rack. And this is how much I was like, I just was like, you know what, girl, you go ahead and do it. She came in with her drill and her son, and they put a whole like thing in. And so instead of being like, God, why is this woman telling me what I need to do? I was like, you know what? Go ahead, girl.
Or even, I think a lot of times people would be like, oh, I know, I should have done that. And we shit ourselves.
I used to
all
do
over.
that in the
And
beginning of the
so,
salon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beginning years were stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but you've always had this open mind of wanting to learn and wanting to do better and be better and make sure you have a balance of taking care of yourself and taking care of others. And you really had a great open mind about things and wanting to be successful.
Yeah, I think that we all deserve success, and we all deserve to feel it. So I really strive to not think of success as a formula, but think of success as giving grace in the trial and errors, and knowing that it's not going to kill me if I make a bad decision. It's only going to make me go, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Or if I do it again, I know the outcome of it, and it's ultimately my fault.
And you can weigh the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I think success is an interesting thing that I don't know. See, and that's the thing is like I don't even like it makes me uncomfortable to talk like that, because like that doesn't serve me. Like money money does not empower me. Success or like a title or like an office, like you know any of those things don't really make me feel it. It's when I see a stylist be able to buy a home, or being able to get 401k for my girls, or for a woman who's never loved themselves be able to get a little groove in their body. Like that is success. That is my office.
Make me tear up here.
Yeah, but that is like seriously, like I'm a minivan mom. Like I'm never gonna buy a brand new Mercedes. Like I'm looking at like 1970s Dodges that I want to redo. Like I have a very simple home. Because that is like for me success. But I also know I deserve to have nice things. But what nice things to me is connection.
Yeah.
Because that's
Helping the
forever.
others. So how do you know, how have you already, or how will you know when Roots has quote unquote made it?
Good question. You know, it already has. Yeah. The heartbeat is so strong in that place.
And you've made it through a pandemic. So let's just pause on that for a second. So we're starting 2021. You've made it through, I mean, everybody's probably emotionally hardest year ever. And
here it comes.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
We might need a box of tissues.
I'll get it. I knew it was coming. It was all right.
But I mean, I think that's definitely something that I have strove, I don't know what the word is, but I want people to recognize, give themselves the credit for the fact that you survived a business through a pandemic, through, especially in service industries have been one of the hardest that was hit, and you were able to maintain and keep your growth.
And we expanded. We came back and had a bigger space. That was honestly, we weirdly enough, and I know a lot of people have said, like, one of the most amazing blessing chapters I've ever experienced. I am a control freak. I am analytical. I am like your Virgo, like to the extreme. So, I looked around and I knew we had to close, and I was like, okay, we're closing. So I ripped the desktop out. I took the phone, I set it up in my house, and I answered every phone call. I rescheduled 10 girls' books for 2 months. I would call every single person and be like, okay, we're just gonna continue. And I moved them like 3 times because I kept thinking the date that it was gonna be, and when truly I had no idea.
Yeah. I think I was one of those people.
Probably. Oh my God, so many phone calls.
Yeah.
And then there were people
But the fact that the owner of the salon is calling me to reschedule for one of her employees, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, we were able to get the PPP loan, so I was able to pay all of my girls the entire time they were gone. And my manager, Irene, was like, Emily, like, give me the computer, like, I'll do some. I was like, no, like, this is my baby. It's like my baby went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I, unfortunately had to go through that with my son Nixon when he was first born. He had open heart surgery. And so I that survival in me is so like, that I was like, all right. So,
It's go time.
Oh God.
Let's
Yeah. And I just, it's like, it's so crazy whenever like chaos comes around and I have to survive. I'm like, it's like, let's do this, so I think answering the phones. And then there was people that were calling that were like never a client of the salon. And they're like, I went to Sally's and I colored my hair and it's awful. So then they were emailing me pictures of their hair, and I was giving them formulas to correct it until they could come in. So truly, like, we have grown probably 20% since the pandemic because of people calling and me having hour-long conversations with them about what they've messed their hair up with. And then for me with the pandemic, it was a good eye-opening for me of my sobriety. I feel like I run so fast and I'm always, so it's like having that glass of wine to wind it down and do all those things. And then I was watching myself becoming so winded down, and I was hurt. It was a lot of pain. And this is my first time, honestly, like, kind of sharing this chapter, because I feel like it's important for people to understand that even if you look strong, you could be hurting. So
especially in the women business world, it's not okay to be vulnerable sometimes.
So using that as that,
and
that's why I'll sit next to anybody on a side of a corner, because I know what they're feeling, because I feel it too. So during the pandemic and being shut, I got sober. And that's huge for, somebody at 12 years old who, 7th grade started learning the ills of suppressing. It really, I think, ignited me to go, dang, I'm more powerful this way.
Yeah.
So I think the whole experience of us having to shut down for 2 months I would not want it to ever change, because I came back like with so much gasoline to the tank that had been running on empty for 12 years.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
On your sobriety.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I've gone on and off and on and off, and it's forever.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I was like, dang, this is a punching bag that I'm gonna have to punch every day.
Yeah, it's something that it's not like, that is in my past.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
Like, addiction is part of who I am.
Yeah.
And with my greatness, that's what it is. And that's why I started looking at like Elvis and Prince, and like these amazing like powerhouses. And then when you look at them and you see their ails, nobody really paid attention. They're like, get out there and do it. Let's do it. And then they're in the background just going, I can't do it. So they thought they had to use that to be able to do it, when truly all they needed was a break. So
well, and
I'm
to,
on that
to
journey.
focus on taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. I mean,
Yeah.
I appreciated the fact that even to set up this interview, there was a day you said, I turned my phone off yesterday. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's kind of amazing, but I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you know that that's a boundary you need to have, and you need to say, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not working, I'm not, you know.
Oh yeah, I have a flip phone. I turn that thing off, and you know, my husband. It's funny, like my husband has his phone.
They still sell flip phones
at Walmart. That was the biggest. Oh yeah, I left there. I left a therapy session, and I had talked to her a couple times about. And I'm very I get oversensitized, and I absorb so much, like so much that like sitting on your phone and just even if you're swiping and you're still digesting that, even if it's for 2 seconds, like that's going into your core being. So I just was sitting there and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I kept like yearning to get rid of it. And then I left her session and she's like, go do it. And I just walked into Walmart and I went up there. I was like, I need a flip phone. And they're like, okay. And they're like, what do you have? I'm like, I have AT&T. And he went in the back and he found a flip phone. It was $50. And I'll tell you, I haven't broken a screen. When I had an iPhone, I'm not joking, I've probably done $1,000 worth of screen protection things. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I could throw that thing and I'm like, the joke's on us. We've said yes to so much of society that now if we want to say no, it's like we have to like backpedal 15,000 steps to get to that security when we've just been like, you know, oh, the new 12G's out. Oh, that upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, that makes me want to numb.
My sister and I were just having a conversation about getting rid of cable this morning.
Yeah.
And I said, I never thought I would ever get rid of cable. I did it like maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And I've never looked back. But it was like, I would waste 2 or 3 hours a night just watching nothing on TV.
You're in the loop of it.
Yeah. And I watch Netflix now and then, but it's not, I don't get into shows like I used to and all that kind of stuff.
We don't, so we literally just like last week got internet. We didn't have cable or internet. We go through these and our family gets so mad at us because they're like, you guys do this and it's like so restrictive and like we can't FaceTime, we can't do all these things. And so we get back and forth. We were doing payroll from a hotspot on our phone.
Wow.
And our accountant's like, you guys are nuts. But when you walked into our home, you couldn't feel the busyness of the internet, the phone, like we just playing records and like dancing and like just being present with each other. And we just got it. So now I'm like, Emily, you have to not binge on Netflix because I'm either 0 or 100.
Yeah.
Like that's just my personality. So it's something, but it's a good tool just to know like, hey, I'm gonna take a break and I'll get back on it like when I want to. But my family's like, I'm really sick of you guys like going so off grid that like we don't get to see your face.
But at the same time, just as you need to in business, in your personal life too, you can say these are my boundaries, and I'm not gonna step outside of what my boundaries are for the needs of other people. And even in your business, you've said these are what is my core values of my business, and you know, people think you're crazy, but you believe in what you believe in, and you have to stay true to your convictions. And,
absolutely.
And you'll be successful.
I feel like I'm just pro stylist, and like I say, like for me, when I see like my girls make big purchases of their life or be able to go on vacations for a week, like that's my bonus.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. I just
feed off that.
I feed off that, but I also can get in trouble because if they're not in a good place, I will like literally do whatever it takes to get them to the place they want to be, even if it's taking myself down in the process. So I'm trying to find that balance of like, how can I be that healthy balance of a giver, but not being overtaken by wanting to give too much.
Yeah.
But that's always been my issue. Like that's not with business. Like that's just me as a human.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So what's next for Roots? Like, what do we see? I mean, you've already expanded in 3 years. What do you see? Are you gonna franchise? You're gonna
so
take
I've thought about that. I have like a place where if it all works here, I might do something there.
In Albany, Kentucky?
No, I love Chattanooga.
Oh, I do too.
I'm such a I'm all about the feel of it. I don't know. Like, this might be 10 years down the road. I don't even know.
If I were to move somewhere, it'd probably be
Dude, I love Chattanooga. I go there with my kids and we're just chilling, and my husband is an artist, and like, I know I can do that. It might happen, it might not. That's just like in my little dream book is like doing a little roots Chattanooga, roots Cookeville, and I can live in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because there's so much in between.
Which I like, which is nothing.
I guess.
And
you could go to Spencer.
yeah, give me some trees. Like, listen, my best friends are the birds, the bunnies, and the wind. Like, I don't need, I don't need any. I feel like I don't know. Like, I'm weird. I like nowhere. I like nowhere.
It's not weird. To each their own.
Yeah.
That's it. You do you. So.
But I think what is going to happen for Roots next though is going to be really awesome. So I'm not taking any more new guests, and I'm not going to be by the chair doing hair as much. So I just got on with the Chamber of Commerce, and I am going to launch some really cool things with them for community of outreach, more. It's called People of Cookeville. I just started an Instagram page, but I'm gonna be going out and trying to find people. Yeah, I just started it. I got a logo. Stevie did a logo for me and everything. But I'm gonna go out and find just different people and have you ever seen People of New York or Humans of New York? It's a really cool platform, but kind of based off that. So now I want to go out in the streets and find people and shine lights on their abilities and their growth and just show the diversity of what Cookeville is. Because it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
This platform, I have learned so much of like what people bring into the women entrepreneurship community, and it's been awesome to see kind of the dynamics of this
that
community.
And then we're getting some really great new talent. We're getting some young stylists that are coming under our senior stylists, and they're getting trained by some really amazing professionals. So we might even start a new talent program and start bringing in a lot of young men and women, because guys can be hairdressers too. I hate that they're artists. Like, hair is art. They're a male artist. So whoever wants to be a hairdresser, let's come on into Roots and like figure out what your journey looks like. So
All right. So how can people connect with you if they are looking for Roots? Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram, Facebook. Your best bet with me is walk in the building.
Okay.
Because, like you said, my phone's off half the time. We're running 1,000 miles a minute. Anyone in the world has the ability to walk through our doors and stay as long as they like. So if you want to connect, just walk in the building.
Do you have a website?
Yes. It's roots.salon.
Roots.salon.
Yeah.
And you're a Roots Salon.
Cookeville.
Yeah. on
social media. Facebook, we just rebranched it, so it's kind of bare, but our Instagram is up there. But yeah, either reach out that way, but I'm telling you, the best option for us is just walk in those doors and get ready to feel something different.
So Emily Blackmon, Roots Salon owner here. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you being my first guest on season 2 of Powered by Her.
I'm very grateful. Thank you.